discuss financial institution recapitalization in Nigeria. Nigeria is a leading African financial hub and one of the largest economies in the world. This, according to financial experts and economists, say require a more innovative and effective risk-based supervision in the regulatory system. When we say the regulatory system, we're talking about how the CBN is controlling the financial sector, how the Nigerian Insurance Corporation is also controlling the insurance sector, as well as how CBN is monitoring bureau change operators in Nigeria. Seriously, today, the financial industry and insurance industry are undertaking a vigorous financial recapitalization. What it means is that the capital base needs to be increased. If they have 50 billion as a capital base, currently it is expected they should increase it. For instance, banks in Nigeria, Taiwan banks in Nigeria, have to increase their financial base to close to 500 billion naira. Meanwhile, insurance companies also expected to increase their financial base from the near 10 billion they had before, or 15 billion they had before, to about 35 billion naira. Now, the BDC, who are also FX operator, are also expected to increase their financial base from 10 million, 25 million they were operating before to about 500 million, as well as 50 million. These are the financial base recapitalization that has been undertaken by financial institutions in Nigeria. Joining me all the way from South Carolina, United States of America, is financial analyst, a Nigerian financial analyst, Muktar Muhammed, CEO, Finance with Muktar. A very good day to you, Mr. Muktar.
Thank you, Olasunkan. My pleasure to be on your program as always. Thank you for having me.
And so interesting that all the way from US, you can also join us on this show. It's good to have you, sir.
I can't say no to you, even if the timing is very, very, very interesting. I'm supposed to be on vacation, but when you come calling, I have no option. I have to respond. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I will apologize for bottling into your vacation. You're supposed to be relaxing, taking some juice, relaxing at the beach, and doing some exercise to keep your body and soul. But let's get to the discussion of today. But first and foremost, how is it God's own country like? What is happening to the economy? What is happening to that? Because we need to ask people like you, so that when you come back, we won't just bring books for us and be telling us tales, but let us ask you as you are there right now.
Well, I think the economy is, coming down here, I realized that what we are going through in Nigeria is not new, because again, the crunch this year also, in terms of cost of goods and services, have relatively gone high compared to what it was last year. Inflation is still here. And all these are attributed to their current state, especially the tariff issue. But outside of that, housing, also cost of housing. We complain in Nigeria about the cost of housing, the rent. Also, to rent has gone up. People that used to pay like $1,000 are paying between $1,800 to $2,000, depending on the location that you're staying. So it's not a Nigerian problem alone, but the only good thing about them is that, you always have something to do. Maybe that's why our problem is more peculiar. You have job to do. There are always job for people to do, to be able to earn, to be able to pay for this cost that has gone up, comparable to ours, whereby you see the cost has gone up, there's no job, and also your earning ability has not gone up. Here you have an opportunity to work in one or two jobs also to be able to meet up with your demands. But outside of that, I think what is happening in Nigeria is also happening here. But like I said, they have there's job for them.
Very interesting. There's jobs. So we also wish that jobs can be created here in Nigeria. But let's get down to the bulk of our discussion. First and foremost, last week we saw the headline CBN maintaining and retaining MPCR rate. What was your reaction? I know you must have read the news. We were supposed to even have a discussion at that point in time, but due to one of technicality on our side here, we could not hold the discussion. But let me have your reaction on CBN retaining MPCR rate.
You see, when you keep doing something and you keep doing it over and over again, and you are getting a different result, then you don't have to change it. But when you're doing something over and over again and you're getting the same results, then there's need for you to change it. I think what the CBN is looking now is what this policy has been able to do. It has been able to stabilize inflation and also be able to maintain exchange rate at a corridor. So they don't want to rock the boat. I think they are looking at safety first. So they want to watch how this trend continues. Remember, they also look at the PMS market, that is refined petroleum products. How Dangote refinery has been helping to stabilize price and also bring down those prices. But that has not translated to reduction in cost of transportations. And so it's an ongoing discussion, it's an ongoing project. And hopefully by the time in August, hopefully, whereby Dangote takes over logistic also in terms of transportation of this refined petroleum product to various destinations in Nigeria, maybe we'll begin to see that price coming down the more, and then from there we'll begin to see the MPC see inflation come down. Then maybe then the MPC will begin to look at cutting rates. I think for now, I think they are in between the devil and the deep blue sea, and what they are looking at is, okay, you look at it this way, you have to think about what are you going to address. Are you going to address growth? Or are you going to deal with inflation and exchange rate stability? I think they have decided that for now, let's deal with inflation, let's deal with exchange rate stability, and if we are able to handle this process, we're able to curtail and bring down inflation and maintain FX stability in the long run, it will spurs growth. And I think that for me, it's a more safety measure, cautious measure in the short term.
Exactly. I'm talking about safety measure, cut clear measure by the CBN. This also brings us to the issue of the Nigerian rebased economy. You must also have read the news. It's not 372 trillion naira rebased economy that we have. And I could recall that many economists, maybe you have one of them, or you also have that opinion in your mind that many people are looking at the rebased economy before they could also make an outlook on the generality of Nigeria economy in 2025. But here we are, the rebased economy have come, 372 trillion naira. So what is your thought on the rebased economy?
My thought about the rebased economy has always been the same. I don't see rebasing as a tool to grow your economy. I see rebasing as a tool to attract investors into the new sectors in your economy. And if you look at that rebasing, they are looking at sectors that have come in initially that were not there. We talk about pension fund administrator, we talk about the health insurance scheme, we talk about the digital economy, the fintech companies, we talk about entertainment also, that has also been one of those areas that have grown the Nigeria economy. I think if you look at all those areas, then what they are telling the rebasing is telling the international committee that, you know, we have new areas that you can invest in. There's still opportunity for growth. It's only when this new economy is able to attract investors, that is when you now begin to look at it as added to your economy. But as it stands now, what we are seeing from this new economy data is there are new areas to expand our economy. There are new areas to grow your bottom line if you are a player in this industry, and that will create opportunity for employment in the long run. So for me, rebasing is just a matter of aligning with your new areas that were not captured in the previous one. Now, the first time we did this rebasing, we moved from second largest economy to first largest economy.
Exactly.
Now with the current rebasing, we are just the fourth largest economy in Africa. So that tells you that in other region, other countries have also done rebasing to capture some other new areas. So I think what will help us is we have not done that. Also, they included the mining area. They included modular refinery, which you and I know has not really hit the ground running. So if all these new areas are able to hit the ground running, then you begin to see the addition to the what I call the real GDP in taking a lot of Nigerians from the poverty level to the middle class level, creating jobs, creating stability in our FS market, attracting both foreign and direct investors. That is the whole idea of rebasing. Rebasing does not put food on your table, but rebasing helps to bring in players that will help put food on your table.
Exactly. Now, talking about bringing food on our table and bringing stability to the economy, the capitalization of the financial institution in Nigeria is ongoing. The banks are doing their own. The insurance are set for December this year 2025 to begin. The BDC deadline just ended in June. We have not heard anything from CBN, but let's look at a holistic review of this recapitalization exercise. How closer will this recapitalization take us to stability, particularly financial stability in Nigeria? Because many have asked the CBN, will stability not take away some of those companies, take them into an extinction, Will it not bring merger? Will it not bring acquisition? But look, Muktar, you are a financial analyst, you are in the game. So tell us, are we going to see merger, acquisition, or extinction with financial recapitalization?
Lincoln, I think for merger, as we stand now, we are not seeing any merger yet. This is, the bank seems to say, look, we can stand alone. And remember that it's not just like a flat recapitalization that like what we had before, where every bank must recapitalize in 25 billion. But now we have different stage of recapitalization. If you want to be a global bank, international bank, your recapitalization is about 500 billion. You want to play locally, I think recapitalization about, is it 400 billion? You just want to be a regional player, you have a recapitalization of about 50 billion. So I think they actually lay the foundation for, depending on what your strategy is. Do you want to move from a local to international? Do you want to still remain like that? So for now, I don't see any challenge that most Nigerian banks will not meet. The only challenge I see is maybe those banks that are saying, look, want to move from tier 2 to tier 1, and that may want to be an international bank. Then we begin to look at getting international investors, getting more funds. That for me, that could break opportunity for merger and acquisition, especially within the tier 2 bank. Say, look, I have this fund, you have this fund. Both of us can merge, and now become a global player, international bank. Or you could also see the tier 3 banks, those other banks that are just regional banks, who want to become national bank, will now merge together. So those are the type of merger I see. In terms of extinction, I don't think it will happen this time. Like I said, the CBN has made various level of opportunities for every bank, depending on the space you want to play. So I don't think there will be any extinction. Yeah, there could be merger or acquisition. I think as it stands now, Nigerian banks are more interested in acquiring foreign subsidiaries of other places rather than looking at acquiring Nigerian bank, because again, you have the regulatory challenges, you have other issues that you have to deal with. Giving you an example, just yesterday, I mean during the week, and also yesterday, but during the week towards the end of last week, we got a report that Access Bank United Kingdom have acquired a subsidiary of an African bank also. So you see the way this drive is moving. It's not, they're not looking at within the context of Nigeria any longer, in terms of especially the international bank. So for me, if some GTCO listed in the New York Stock Exchange, it's just a matter, I mean the London Stock Exchange, it's just a matter of time that you see one of those those big tier 1 bank looking towards listing in the New York Stock Exchange. And all these are geared towards Nigerian $1 trillion economy, whereby they want our financial sector to lead the way in that area, not rather than not able to handle hard ticketing deals whereby they have to involve international banks that are not resident here. Just like the building of the Dangote refinery, most of the loans were gotten from international institutions rather than the local institution. I think that is what they are looking at. You are seeing this recapitalization. Insurance sector recapitalization for me is long overdue, and we've not seen the impact. Remember, we had that recapitalization almost the same time what we have in the banking sector, sometime in 2004, 2005. We did not see the insurance sector take the kind of win we thought they would, especially when you look at insurance and you look at the population we have in Nigeria. You thought the insurance section should be even acquiring some banks that is done in these developed countries of the world. We are not seeing that. For the BDC, I think there's a lot of work to be done in that area, because again, if you look at the recent pronouncement statement that have come in from various Nigerian banks, again, you realize that we are getting to that stability in FX, whereby you can use your Naira card to also be able to get things in dollars. So, and that again is going to reduce the flow, especially of retail FX buyers. We take FX buyers going to the BDCs, because they can actually use their cards from the comfort of their room to do this transaction. That will also is responsible for the kind of stability and the downward trend of the dollar against the Naira that we are seeing. So if you are BDC, you want to recapitalize to that tune, you also know that you are going to be competing with the major banks that have offshore funds, and these funds can come in and boost liquidity. So it's going to be interesting times, but again, it's going to be challenging times, especially for the insurance sector and the BDC. For the bank, I think it will take something out of this war for you to see any of these banks in Nigeria go extinct.
Exactly. And I'm talking about the banks, it's a goal for them. For many financial analysts like you and economists like my own, so we have seen that the banks in Nigeria are really eating larger. But let's stay on the insurance side, the insurance sector recapitalization. We could recall in 2003 and 2007 recapitalization that was done. Something happened that many Nigerians like you and I would never be happy with. The insurance sector players took the government to court. You could recall, and that stalled that recapitalization exercise. But right now, we have somebody who is member of the Nigerian Insurance Association, who was even their former president, now heading the Nigerian Insurance Commission. So, do you think the December period 2025 they are pushing for them will be a realization? Because many are still optimistic. I mean, still skeptical about that. These guys may still go and pull that string the way they pulled the string the other time and still take the federal government to court. But from your own side, do you expect them to do that this time around?
I don't expect them to do that this time around, and you have seen that what they did that time have led to a lot of extinction of some insurance companies. We can mention names of the IGI of this war, the Universal Insurance of this war. I mean, those companies are almost extinct. So definitely, it's not something that they should do. Because again, if they've allowed that recapitalization, maybe we would have been seeing more international firms in Nigeria now. Like, well, if you look at Mansa Insurance, if you look at the structure, they have a little bit of international funding. If you look at insurance company like NEM Insurance, you look at Custodial Insurance.
Exactly.
It's an insurance company now that has also played the pension fund administrator in Nigeria. So that's what when you look at, that's what we expect insurance firms to be doing, to take a key drive in the Nigerian economy. Globally now, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, you've seen insurance company come in to own banks and run those banks through what they do. So we expect the insurance company will definitely not put a span to the work that they're about to do, especially when one of them is now the president of it. It will be good for them. And so you shouldn't be surprised. That's why you've seen the kind of movement you are seeing in some of these insurance stocks over some time. The lack of Hassan Bansa, the lack of NEM Insurance, the lack of Cornerstone, Custodial Insurance, and Custodial Insurance also. So I think they are beginning to prepare for that recapitalization drive, which for me, it will make them stronger and it will make more Nigerians to have confidence in the insurance sector. I can tell you the confidence levels of Nigerians in the insurance sector is very low. This recapitalization will help see those Nigerians having confidence. You can imagine if you have a population of 200 million and you have even just 100 million having insurance, you know what that would do to the bottom line of most insurance companies.
Exactly. And that's why I have to engage you on this aspect, because many Nigerians still lack the enlightenment when it comes to insurance. They see it as, no, I can't go and put my money. Do you want me to go and put my money? And they will tell me when I'm, that kind of mentality is about. I believe that one of these days will create opportunity so that we can really educate and advocate on insurance policy in Nigeria. But let's look at the BDC. The deadline has overlapped. June 3rd was the deadline from Central Bank after 3 consecutive extensions. What do you think CBN will do? Because just some few days back, I saw a statement from an ethnic group who are saying, because of this recapitalization of BDC, a particular section of the country will not be part of the BDC again. Muktar, can you help us understand this kind of thing? Because professionals like you and I will not look at it from that group, but help us to understand.
Well, again, you don't mix politics with business.
Exactly.
And then it's now falling on the administration to do the needful. Are you going to mix policy with business, or are you going to go ahead with what you do? There's no business in Nigeria that is supposed to be monopolized by a certain sector of Nigeria economy. When you look at the BDC players, you realize that because you see them on the road, you see them holding their calculators, a certain tribe is always on the road. It doesn't mean that tribe is the largest player of that sector. I can tell you. A lot of other play that sector too, but maybe you don't see them in the road like you see the other side, the other tribe of Nigeria. So for me, I think that is a no-brainer. The CBN should not be pushed into blackmailing and then decide to halt this recapitalization drive. The recapitalization drive is to strengthen the BDCs. When the foreign exchange market was liberalized by President Ibrahim Babangida, then military President Ibrahim Babangida, it was meant to make them strong, it was meant to make them efficient, it was meant to make them stand alone. But the initial gap was for the federal government to help them through the CBN, for them to maintain liquidity and then be able to stand alone. But that part was not taken because it became a channel for corruption, both for those in the CBN and even some of the Bureau de Change. So it became a conduit pipe for a lot of issues that we don't want to discuss here. So I think it's good that you have a stronger Bureau de Change. In other developed countries in the world, like in the United States, even in let me give you an example. I came through Doha, and again you go there and you realize at the airport there are Bureau de Change that you walk in there, do your exchange without anything, and then take your money and you do what you have to do. So I think we must begin to come to that place whereby our Bureau de Change are not those people that you see on the road, but they are well-established institutions with branches, whereby you walk in and you get your whatever you want, and then you go out for safety, also for security. Also, that would be what we should be. That's what the CBN should be driving towards.
Exactly. And Muktar, we have to also take a look at what we normally say: let's tamper justice with mercy, or mercy for justice. The view they change on their own, they are asking for something. Maybe we could help them advocate it in a more enlightening way. They said the 2 billion naira for Taiwan BDC is huge, that CBN should reduce it to 500 million. And the Thai 2 BDC of 500 million naira, that CBN should reduce it to 100 million. What do you have to say about this? Is that 2 billion too big for these guys?
Lekon, what is 100 million in exchange rate for a dollar?
I know you go to that level.
What is 500 million?
Yeah, exactly.
In exchange rate to a dollar. So if you want to play that space, the CBN wanted to be highly liquid, to be able to meet demands. So it's not just about the CBN just wanting them to recapitalize. I think the CBN also is looking at the future of the BDC in the area of recapitalization. And you know the FX market is a fluctuating market.
Exactly.
You don't want to come into this, tell them to recapitalize to this tone and come into more like what we are seeing in the financial sector. I thought when we did the recapitalization in 2004, 2005, the exchange rate was about 160 to the dollar.
Exactly.
But today we are doing a recapitalization, we are seeing an exchange of 1,530. And when you compare that with how much we are saying we want to raise, then you realize that because of this retail earnings of the bank, and I think that's why the CBN is settling for 500 billion, because most of these banks have more retail earnings, more than 500 billion. So the same thing we are talking about the BDC. I think the CBN have hit it, and they get them leverage. If you can't do 500 billion, you can do the other one. So if the CBN now looked at nobody's able to be a Taiwan BDC operator, then they could begin to tickle it. But it's not because of the pressure that you are going to push to the CBN so that you will now make everybody, because that sector is not supposed to be for every Dick, Tom, and Harry.
Exactly. Very interesting. But Muktar, before I let you go, you are based in the US now. Begin to engage you on the global economy per se, not just Nigerian economy anymore. I want to bet you maybe in my next discussion with you. But before I let you go, there's a proposal to have energy bank in Africa, and to be situated here in Abuja, where we are, ADB in Nigeria, Abuja. What is your thought on energy bank?
Well, Leko, the challenge I have with Africa and Nigeria is that we are not devoid of data. We are not devoid of trying to come up with things, but we have challenges when it comes to implementation.
Exactly.
There's a specialized bank, but again, you have to ask yourself before you talk about specialized bank, what have you been able to do with the other banks that are generalized banks? Then some of these banks that you're talking, they have energy decks, and how much of that have we been able to imply? But when you talk about an African energy bank be situated in Abuja is a good thing, but Nigeria like being big brother. What are the economic benefits for Nigeria if you have to situate this headquarter in Abuja? All those are things that we should look at. But I think it's not a bad idea to have an energy bank in Africa, a specialized bank that would deal with the energy crisis in Africa. They call it crisis because it's really an energy crisis in Africa. So we need to address that. We have come up with a specialized vehicle to address that. Hopefully, the nations will be able to recapitalize this energy bank so that they will have enough of capital to be able to improve infrastructure in the energy sector, drive growth, create employment in the long term. For me, it should be what we should be targeting.
Exactly. Very interesting. I really love your submission in that regard. But before I let you go, finally, the next MPC meeting is toward September period, thereabout. What would be your advice to the CBN going forward?
Continue what you are doing, especially in the area of exchange rate stability. Make sure you deal with inflation. And so by the next time we come into that meeting, let's have a rate cut for the first time. It's been a long time we ever had a rate cut.
Exactly.
And the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria are shouting, we need a rate cut, because a rate cut would definitely send a signal to the international economic environment that Nigeria is finally a haven for investors. Remember that most of the countries that started this journey of high interest rate in Nigeria are now cutting rates, but we are still there trying to maintain the status quo. So I think it's time we see those game changer. But in the interim, let the CBN see how they can maintain that FX stability in the economy, dealing with inflation, and the physical side also should not be left out with policy that will help stabilize both the physical and the monetary side, and in turn that will spur growth. And in turn, when you bring down those rates, then a lot of these companies will be able to have more profit and expand, just like what we're expected that the Tax Reform Act has done. Company income tax coming from 30% to 25%, that will help also support growth, and that's what we want to see going forward from the CBN.
Exactly. Very interesting submission from you. And as I earlier pointed out, I don't know how long you are going to stay in South Carolina, but get it that you are going to be my global energy financial analyst henceforth. The next time I will call on you, we'll discuss that. So thank you for coming on the show today.
My pleasure, Lekon.
And I enjoy the good weather in South Carolina. In Nigeria, it has been rain. I don't know whether you are witnessing rain over there.
Yeah, it comes in once in a while, but it's more sunny. It is summertime, yeah.
All right. So enjoy the rest of your day over there in South Carolina.
Thank you, Lekon. Thank you.